the great Flex Wheeler.
You had some just crazy things that you went through that were very public. You know, you went through the car accident, and then you went through the thing with your kidneys. And then more recently, I think you had like your leg amputated or something happened with your leg. Excuse me for I don't know the full story on what happened to your leg. What did happen with your leg?
So. It's a DVT, deep vein thrombosis. I'd been dealing with it for probably about 2 years before I lost my leg. Incredible pain, and it continued to get worse. I still travel all around the world, and there would be some times where I couldn't even walk through an airport. I would just stop, and I'd be in tears. I was going out every specialist. I live here in Henderson, Vegas, Nevada, and I went to every specialist you could think of. I have some pretty incredible friends who would introduce me to some of the greatest doctors, and I'm going to all of them, and nothing's getting better. I even went to the emergency room a couple of times over the years, and they would like, oh, you pull the muscle. You know, they put my leg in a cast, they put in a splint, and I'm like, you guys are idiots. You know, I've torn muscles before. This ain't a damn torn muscle, you know.
What hurts specifically, like your foot or your calf or your shin or something?
So to explain it to you, and what was happening is it's a lactic acid like burn. Like, so when you're training and your butt muscle starts burning, normally you stop, right? Because it gets too much. Well, that's what would happen when I'm walking. That build up, and it would burn, but it wouldn't go away. And when I stopped walking, it'd take about 20 minutes for it to subside. That's a long time to the point it breaks you. So what truly was happening was the blood flow was being cut off. So imagine, you know, your muscles as a lactic acid buildup. They're starving for more oxygen, for more blood. Well, my complete lower, below my calf, below my knee was being cut off from blood supply. So that buildup was getting greater and greater and greater because there was no blood flow. We didn't know what was going on. To fast forward, long story short, I got very upset with my doctor. You know, to say the least. He got extremely upset and said, you know, I just said some choice words. We're very close, and he respected that. And I said, we got to do something more. This is bullshit, man. You know, there's no way in the world that I should be hurting like this. We had tried everything. So he said, you know what, let me call in for a ultrasound. I was like, okay. Because I had, you know, everything else, x-rays and all this garbage. And went in for an ultrasound, and geez, like within 5 seconds, the lady found it. And she just stopped and stared at me, you know, probably for like 10 seconds. That's a long time. You know, 10 seconds of silence is a long time. And her eyes got watery. So, you know me, I'm an emotional person. I look at her and I'm like, my eyes are getting watery. I'm like, what? You know, what is it that you see? And she goes, do you have a staph or something in your leg? Do you have a, you know, artificial, artery or something? I'm like, no. I go, I have one in my groin for my kidney transplant. When I had my kidney transplant, my donor, when they got us on the operating table, her main artery from her kidney was too short. So they had to go into my left quad and take out my main artery to make her artery long enough. And then they replaced it with a plastic stent or graft. So no, I said I had a graft in my groin area, but you know, it goes to my right leg, but I don't have a stent in my calf. She goes, okay. So she kept going, and she literally just started crying. So I started crying. I go, please tell me, what do you see? She goes, I can't. She goes, you know, they can't tell you anything. You know, I'll turn it into the doctor, you know, blah, blah, blah. And when she broke down in tears, you know, so did I. And I just begged her, please, you got to tell me, what do you see? She said, who have you been to? I told her everybody. I told the hospital. She goes, no, that's not possible. Those are some of the greatest hospitals we have here in Henderson. They should have seen it, you know, within seconds ago. Seen what? She goes, either you have a graft in your calf that you don't know about, or I'm looking at the biggest blood clot I've ever seen in my life. Mm. So that got my attention, and she goes, I got to stop. I got to call a SynStat. I got to get the emergency team in here. I go, really, it's that bad? She goes, you'll have no idea how bad it is. So I had to wait there an hour, and they came in and did their stuff, and they said, all right, your doctor's going to call you. We're going to go ahead and release you. And I said, okay. She goes, don't worry, he's going to call you. He can explain. I can't tell you no more. So I'm driving home, and I pull up in my garage, and my doctor calls me. And he goes, where are you? In an urgent, voice. And I said, just pulled up in my garage. He goes, wow. He goes, Flex, I'm surprised you even made it home. I go, what do you mean by that, man? He goes, it's bad. I go, how bad, man? I'm supposed to be going to the Honor Classic, Australia. My flight leaves in 2 days. He goes, Flex, I wouldn't get on that flight if I was you. I'm like, listen, you don't understand my game. They already paid my flight. This is a first-class ticket, so you're talking thousands of dollars. Hotel's already booked. I'm already announced to be there. You don't back out of these situations. And he said, Flex, if you were my family member, I wouldn't let you get on that flight. I go, man, tell me what's going on. He goes, you have a DVT. I'm like, what the f- is that? I don't know what that is. He goes, I don't have time to explain. Get down here. I'm going to give you some medication and some blood thinners, and we're going to see if we can break it up. So, again, fast forward, I'm still going to go to Australia. I got to make money. This is what we do, right? So the day before I take my flight, I'm packing my clothes, and I can't even walk around my house to pack my clothes. I'm in so much pain, and I lay down and I go to sleep crying because I'm in so much pain, and I wake up at night, and it's about 10 o'clock at night, and I can't feel my right leg. I can't feel my arm. I can't feel my chest. I can't feel my junk, my groin. And I remember parts of movies where people say, they couldn't feel their arm and it was a heart attack, I'm like, God dang it. So I called him, my doctor, and I said, hey man, I can't feel my leg, nothing. He goes, get to the hospital now. I'm calling in. They go, why? I go, I've been to these bastards 3 times. They don't know what the freak they're doing. He goes, get there and tell them you got a DVT. I'm like, dude, what is that? He goes, but you don't have time. Just get there. My stupid butt, right? I stop at Burger King before I go because I'm like, I'm going to be there a couple hours. I'm hungry. I want something to eat. So I'm like, at least I'll be full. So anyway, I get there and all crap hits the fan. I get there. My blood pressure is, you're going to think this is crazy, but my blood pressure was 210 over 205. So when I got there, I'm joking, and when I look at my blood pressure, everybody just stops. And more doctors and nurses are walking around, and they're just staring at me. How do you feel? I'm like, my leg hurts. He goes, that's it? I'm like, yeah. He goes, okay. How bad does it hurt? I go, bad enough for a grown man to be crying here in front of you. And I'm like, okay, so, we're going to get you out of pain. So they drug me up, and it just goes downhill from there. Long story short, they put me under, and I don't remember anything else. What I'm telling you now is from everybody telling me. I literally signed a consent that they could put me under because they had to go into my vein and try to do these blood clot busters or whatever. And I was moving around too much because I was in pain. And I guess they put me under, and they were telling one of my family members they still can't do the surgery because I was still moving around. And the doctor was yelling at my family member because she was saying, give him more than, because she was, she went to medical school. And he goes, no, we've given him enough to kill a horse. And it's, it's still fighting us in a coma. So I was in coma for 10 days. I was in the hospital for 4 months. And when I came out of my coma, I didn't know what the hell was going on. Again, long story short, they done all these surgeries. They thought they saved the leg. Actually, I even put the video on Instagram where the doctor said, I think we salvaged the right leg. But it was something inside me. I just knew it didn't work. And I even remember telling my family members, I won't be walking too long. I'm going to lose my leg. And they thought I was giving up. It's like, you can't say that you're giving up. I'm like, no, I can tell. So, I got out of hospital, I think it was in June. I went back to the emergency room probably 30 times during that time, just in incredible pain. And it got to the point where they finally started saying, Flex, listen, there's no other surgeries we can do. We've done every surgery imaginable. There's no more arteries. There's no more veins there for us to attach. The only other surgery we can do is take your leg when that time comes. So I started preparing myself mentally that, I was going to lose my leg and being comfortable with it. I was in Billings, Montana on a business meeting to open up my own nutrition company, and I couldn't even walk around. I was just in tears, and everybody was asking me what was wrong. I was like, nothing, I'm okay. I got back to the airport, and I was with a business partner of mine. I could barely walk to the airport, and I'm just sobbing. And he's looking at me like, Plex, how the hell are you going to go to, and I was supposed to leave to go to Dubai for a month. He goes, how the hell, and I was supposed to leave in 2 days. How the hell are you going to get, work in Dubai? And you can't even walk in the airport. And it came over, and I'm like, damn, I'm going to have to cancel. I can't go. And I just made my mind up. I go, man, when I get back home, I'm just going straight to the ER. So I contacted my wife, and I said, hey, this is what's going on. I'm just going to go to the ER. She goes, all right, well, when you get there, I'll meet you. Let me know when you land. And when I landed, I told her, hey, listen, I'm on my way to ER. She goes, you know what, Flex, just come home and I'll drive you. Got to the ER, same ER I had been going to, that I was in the hospital for 4 months. And they did an MRI, ultrasound, I'm sorry. And she came back, she just stared at me. She goes, we're at that point in time now. And I go, what do you mean? And she's like, 90% of your calf on your right side is 90% blocked, and on the left side, it's blocked 100%. And I was just like, take it. She goes, you sure? I'm like, yeah, just take it. And my wife was like, we need to talk about this. We're like, no, we need to talk about shit. This is my leg. I'm the one who's going through this. I said, take it. And I go, plus, if you're saying I have that type of blood clot, it could break free and kill me, right? She goes, that's very true. I go, just take it. Just take it.
Wow. And so are you missing from the knee down?
Yeah, I'm below the knee, BK. Yeah, I'm below the knee. And
then how has your pain been since that time?
Yeah, worse, actually. Sadly to say, during the surgeries that they were doing to try to save my leg, it caused tremendous nerve damage. We call it neuropathy. And actually, one of the times I almost died in the hospital. One of the times they actually had the stent that I told you, or the graft that I told you was in my groin. They have reason to believe that it's the main factor that caused the DVT, because it started failing. And they were explaining to me that, it's plastic and it was never meant to last 15 years. Technology had gotten better. I'm like, damn. Like, they'll give you a recall on your freaking seatbelt, in a car, but you guys never called me to let me know that, might want to come in and have this damn thing looked at. So after all the surgeries, the doctor, before they took my leg when I was in the hospital for 4 months, he actually decided to create a new graft. And that graft goes from my pec here, and it goes all the way down to my right leg. And they thought, that's when he said, in a video, we think we saved it. Well, even in that, of course, anatomy, all your veins come into this area. So they damaged all the veins where I lost uses of my right side, my pec, my shoulder, my arm for, 3 months. I couldn't even use my right arm. And it caused tremendous nerve damage and neuropathy where, it hasn't came back yet. So I'm in constant pain like that. And one of the pictures I showed on Instagram of my once powerful bicep, it just sags over. I can't even flex or make it move or anything like that. So the pain I go through, it's neuropathy and also phantom pain from losing my limb. So, it is what it is. I don't want to make it seem like a sob story. I want to, end this by saying, you asked me before, were you ever happy? Never. Winning shows, all the money I've made, all the crazy cars, never. Once I lost my leg and I decided, before they took my leg, I said, I want to be a spokesperson for a transplant. I want to be a spokesperson for amputees. I really feel that, God didn't allow me to go through. He didn't allow me to go through all this in life for no reason. And I feel that every battle that I had, every great thing that I did was to prepare me for this. And I just made my mind up, man, I can't be this global name and figure, and then when the worst thing imaginable happened to me, go duck and hide. So that's when I started doing all these interviews with myself on camera while I was in the hospital, because I just knew I wanted to bring awareness to this and to people who are amputees and so on. So it's great. And, to finish answering your other question about me being happy, first time in the world I've ever been happy. I remember the first time I went to the airport to pick up my daughters because they were coming to see me after I had lost my leg. And I was sitting there in my wheelchair with my wife, and I was like, wow, this is so embarrassing. And she goes, what? I go, just having everybody look at me like this. She goes, oh, Flex, don't worry about them. And then she stopped. She goes, you know what? I'm going to shut up because I don't know what it's like what you're going through. I was like, it's sad because people look at me with empathy when they have no idea I'm so happy. So you might look at all those great pictures and videos of me and like, wow, this dude must be happy. You look at him. I hated myself. And it took for me to lose my leg to find complete and utter happiness. I don't care about what I look like when I go in public. I don't care if I'm sitting straight or standing straight. So it's brought me so much joy and happiness. It's a gift. I think it happened to me, and now I can help people who are in a genre that I could never help before.
I think what you brought up is really interesting because, okay, now someone can physically see that you're missing something. So somebody, they may pity that. They may have empathy towards that because they might say, this is all I know is to live this way with two legs. I wonder what it's like to be him. I wonder what it's like to live the way that you're living. But we don't do that enough sometimes when we're thinking about, and I don't mean pity, but we don't put ourselves in people's shoes enough to have good consideration of somebody else's perspective. You mentioning you grew up in the ghetto, and you mentioning you guys didn't have money and you were abused, and all these things. The interactions that maybe you and I have, maybe we come to like a misunderstanding, and maybe from my perspective, I should think, well, maybe that guy's got some shit going on in his life that I just don't know anything about. So I think sometimes it's good to have these recognitions, and with what you have right now, people can clearly see it. And so I think it allows you to be a spokesman for this side of things in a maybe more obvious circumstance.
Yeah. When you go through, a lot of my military buddies, they call it dark waters. When you just inhale, you're just, it's like being out in the middle of the ocean and it's pitch dark. You feel like that. When you go through really dark times like that, unless you're a complete idiot or not self-aware, I'll take that back from being an idiot. You look at other people and you'll give them space. You'll give them a second look because you don't know what they're going through. Again, before we all agreed, all you see of a person is their greatness and what they've done. You have no idea how hard. And so you might feel some type of way because they have this, but you don't know what hell they've been through. So, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I choose to be transparent now. I know some people look at it as a weakness and, oh man, you can never say that. It's a punk move. I wasn't talking to you. You know what I mean? My message wasn't for you. A lot of people gave me some crap when I went back on Olympia stage because I didn't look like the guy I was before. I'm like, this message wasn't for you. This message, I went back on Olympia stage because I wanted to show people just through the worst unthinkable things, you don't have to stop fighting. You can get up in the morning. And if I can go through everything I've been through and get back on stage with more scars and, having a fight with Freddy Krueger and Jason, if I can get back up on this stage and still try to fight, maybe I can inspire you just to get up. Because sometimes, man, when you're going through depression like I go through, or, when you're suicidal, I've been suicidal all my life and still is, it's just trying to make it through the next second. It's a challenge. And I just want to show people who was in that type of environment, man, we can still keep fighting and try to just be a little bit of a bright light for them. So for everybody who didn't understand the message or don't understand the message that I'm saying now, man, that's great. I'm happy you don't know what I'm talking about, because that means you don't know and you haven't experienced what I've experienced. But for the people who have, I'm talking to you and you truly understand what I'm talking about.